So The Miz was doing commentary on Raw this week with Michael Cole, which begged the question where the flub was Pat McAfee. And apparently, maybe it's just rumours, he may have been kidnapped by the Wyatt Sicks. So my gosh, somebody call the police. We cannot put it on the crime counter just yet though, because we do not know. But hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for Monday Night Raw. And if you want to know what this show is, it's the best damn wrestling review show on the internet, which is a lie. But as we know in 2024, the world is built on lies. So go out there and tell your friends and tell your family to watch this bald idiot. Even if they don't like wrestling, you grab them and you say, you watch this, damn it. We've got here again. I don't know, let's up those down. Raw also kind of started real, if that makes sense, but Michael Cole and The Miz were going, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Where Drew McIntyre just walked past them and he got in the ring, screw entrances, screw over the top nonsense, he just wanted to talk. McIntyre was also grinning like the Cheshire Cat because his I Quit plan had worked perfectly, because nobody is talking about that anymore, and they are only talking about the fact that he destroyed and killed CM Punk on SmackDown, which he actually may have done. He even made a video about this, so now we know what he did over the weekend when he did reveal the bracelet that he had stolen from CM Punk, and that's right, it has AJ Lee's on it, it has Larry the Dog's name on it, and that is Punk's family, man. And now he's gonna wear it, even though he thinks it's tacked. Also, bring down the crime counter. Now, given the crime counter usually focus on murders, it's not that bad, but this still counts as theft. He's also gonna wear this thing around his wrist when he does enter Money in the Bank and grab the briefcase. And there's a big part of me that thinks he should win Money in the Bank because he deserves something. Let's rewind till last week. This dude got screwed in his hometown. This was really good though, and it felt understated in a positive way. And Drew wasn't making any jokes here. He was super serious, McIntyre. Like I say, he was ready to whoop everybody's ass. And there's more to this later, we wait and see. But in terms of wrestling characters on my TV, man, he is at the tippity top. And he's gigging up. When? My gosh, what a moment we had. We saw Chad Gable arriving at the arena as he tried to shoo people away who wanted to talk to him, and it means he has recovered from that gunshot wound. I mean, I'm sorry, he should be on like 60 Minutes or something. What a hero. And no, he wasn't actually shot. Some people are getting so mad about this. It's just fun, dude. And we should have some fun. That's a secret word when it comes to wrestling. Davy Kelly also addressed this too because she was outside of Chad Gable's locker room because she really wanted a word. When we cut to Ludwig Kaiser, it's like, man, talking about death, I'm gonna kill Bron Breakker. I think he meant it. He showed me the knife. We then went right into this match, and I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. I loved this, and if I had a kid and it popped out and it was this match, I'd be proud of it. I really regret saying that. Kaiser pie-faced Bron to begin with too, which was such a silly idea because he just powered him down to the ground, but these two just started going at it. But you know Ludwig Kaiser, he is the son of Bowser, so he knows how to cheat, so he was pulling fast ones. Breakker didn't care about any of this though, and at one point he just came flying off the apron as both of these guys went over and the announce table. I thought to myself, I could watch them fight forever, when the smart part of my brain said, wouldn't you rather 20 minutes? I'd be like, yeah, that makes more sense. 20 minutes, just a good time for a wrestling match. Apparently though, the dreaded commercial break then totally screwed over Bron. When we did return, Ludwig was in control, but I went and figured this one out. I bet Kaiser was like, Bron Breakker, and your name has got 2 Ks. No name has 2 Ks in it, and Bron was like, man, I hate people taking the mick out of my name. It's not really my real name, and Ludwig hit him. That'll do. He also took a med pack because all of a sudden he was no-selling everything, where he just vaulted up to the turnbuckle and he hit a Frankensteiner. And this was prettier than a picture. In fact, that's another thing I'd like on my wall. This Frankensteiner. Sadly though, Kaiser knew he was being murked, so he set up a trap here, which saw Bron Breakker go right into the steel steps. That was horrible. And I think just as he was about to finish him off, Sheamus teleported down from the Starship Enterprise, and my word did he hit this guy. They got even more crazy though, because he was gonna pick him up and throw him somewhere when Breakker was back, and he speared these two. Honestly, it was a horrible landing, to the point some people are saying Ludwig Kaiser may be injured for real. So I'm taking my positiveness and I'm Hadoukening it out there. I hope he's okay. It also ended with Bron just going, rah, because why wouldn't you do that after you'd whooped some ass? But look, I am gonna give this an up. It was just such a good fight. Plus I'm a big fan of Sheamus. But we did basically do the same thing last week, and while I do understand this, we're trying to protect people, I was just in one of those moods where I was like, man, I really want to see a winner here so I could freak out over the loser. Like, I wouldn't have Bron Breakker lose, but even if he does, I would trust the story. And given that we didn't do that and we kind of used our get out of jail free card, well, it's getting her down. I know, Simon, you're such a nerd. Of course I'm a nerd. Look at me, I'm Mr. Nerd. It was then time for our first Judgment Day segment backstage as well. And Damian Priest walked into the locker room and everybody was playing WWE 2K24. Why not? Damian mostly wanted to talk to Dominic Mysterio about Liv Morgan though. And yes, Dominic Mysterio and his moustache were eating chicken tenders. I tell you, this story has depth. Now Mysterio did respond to this by saying, look at all these presents, she sent them to me, and she sent me this. And it was a picture, I can only presume, but it can't have been PG, because every single person the Judgment Day kind of went, oh my gosh. Apart from Carlito, he went, man, that's cool, because he's a pervert. And this is all going to tie into stuff that happens later, so we will get back to it. When we saw Adam Pearce being yelled at by Bron Breakker, and this makes sense, he was all like, dude, every time I have a match, people keep interfering, and I think this is a pile of baloney. He's right. It was sort of weird because Sami Zayn then just popped his head in and said, oh man, you don't like interactions, do you? Not interactions, distractions, do you? Well, listen, how about you and I have an intercontinental tag team match? That's not a thing. An intercontinental match whenever you want. And Bron was like, well, I'd like it at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view premium live event. So that's it, we're doing it. So this was essentially reverse Geese title shot, although listen, I do want to see it because it makes me go, well, who the flub is going to win that one? So I just want to go back a few minutes. Don't use your get out of jail free card here again. I need something that can take over the world. Well, that means, but yeah, give that to me. And listen, if you want Bron Breakker to win, I totally get it. When it was time to get some more people into the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, because we had Lyra Valkyria versus Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler. Listen, oh yeah, they are carrying on the momentum when it comes to these qualifiers. Oh, it's really, really good. Baszler and Valkyria did sort of beat up Kairi for a while, I guess because they don't like her. When Sane came back and dropped them to the outside, when they got back in the ring, she hit a missile drop kick and she got a 1-2-0. Shayna then remembered she had MMA powers, so she was trying to submit everyone. When I think Valkyria looked at her biceps, she was like, oh yeah, I've got the power. So this was just one of those matches again where it's you go, I go, we all go. And I prefer that to the usual WWE template of we'll just get rid of one person and these two will go at it. Like we should go back to that at some point, but at the moment, this version working very well. Eventually, Baszler was about to lock in the Kira Fuda clutch too when Kairi came off the top with the insane elbow. But man, she is going to regret this when she is a 90-year-old because it didn't help her at all. And in fact, Lyra just grabbed her, gave her the Nightwing, and she won. So she is going to the Money in the Bank. And what a run she is having ever since she got called up from NXT. Now, I don't think she's going to win the briefcase, but I do like the fact she is in there because, again, it can just raise her star power, which is what we should be doing. Getting it up. Drew McIntyre was the next person yelling at Adam Pearce because he thinks he should be in Money in the Bank. And Pearce was like, well, one, everyone has to qualify. Two, what you did to Punk means you probably shouldn't be getting anything. And three, hot tooey. He didn't say that. Man, I shouldn't have done it. Drew did have a good point though, because he was like, well, wait a minute, you're talking about punishments, but CM Punk has been running around breaking all the rules, and have you punished him? No, you have not. And in fact, Triple H was putting him over. Liv Morgan then skipped through the frame, which was very interesting, although also very well timed, because it was actually about to be her segment. Now she started by addressing Daddy Dom. That's when I was like, man, she is so gonna get killed by Rhea Ripley to the point I'll probably massage the crime counter beforehand because that thing is gonna be overworked. She also promised to give the condom every single thing that Rhea Ripley couldn't, and when she just kept going on and on and on, I assumed we were gonna invoke Wrestling Rule 14.8 and the Moustache Man was gonna come to the ring, but actually, Zelina Vega arrived instead. I'm like, man, you don't know the rules. She basically did drop a whole Geese title shot, though she also called Dominic Mysterio sloppy seconds. Although, look, WWE has kind of been teasing this for the last few weeks. But at the same time, it does feel a little bit like it came out of nowhere. As soon as she had made her claim, though, Dominic Mysterio did arrive. And yes, the crowd chanted sloppy seconds. So you can tell me that Raw is a PG show, but imagine your mum came in, right? Your innocent mum. And she was like, oh, little Dave, what does sloppy seconds mean? You'd have two choices. One, you go, man, I don't know, mum. Or you have to go, it means you're like sharing someone after you bang them. Now, don't get mad at me. That's what it means. Now, the trick here is that Dominic said, listen, Zelina, I'd love to help you in this match. And Liv Morgan was kind of smiling through all of this, but I still believe that Dominic and Liv are trying to ruse us. It's all going to turn out to be a big lie. Given that Vega was taken aback by this, though, she looked at Dominic, which created the distraction, which is when Morgan walloped her. And given that Zelina Vega is in the LWO, Rey Mysterio came out, the deadbeat dad. This is when Dominic stuck behind him, and he pushed him to the floor. Man, Morgan is so good in this role. She was like, oh, Daddy Dom, you saved me. And he kind of did, but also he did nine. It all carried on in the back as well because Liv was trying to hug Dominic Mysterio and he was like, man, I want nothing to do with you. And never forget, they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. They think you're a sheep. It all continued as well because Morgan then bumped into R-Truth and basically used his nice nature against him because she tricked him into having a match later with the Judgment Day. And that's right, the tag team titles are on the line. Sheesh. Miz, of course, lost his mind on commentary, so he left Michael Cole to try and sort out this stuff with R-Truth. So we did actually set up a lot here because, of course, we are going to do Zelina Vega versus Liv Morgan at Money in the Bank, and that can just be someone that Liv can beat to carry on her run, I suppose. And maybe eventually we will go back to Dom versus Ray. I mean, it is the battle that will last forever. So while it is a little bit strange, we have just got Zelina Vega and gone, whoop, you get in there. I shall give it an up. Just feel like it's all building to something bigger down the line. We were back with Kathy Kelly after this because she still wanted a word with Chad Gable. When Adam Pearce came out of his locker room, he was like, look, well, he is cleared, but I don't think he's ready to talk about what happened last week, so we should all be really nice to him. You didn't say that. He was speaking about the man of the hour, though, because it was time for the men's Money in the Bank qualifier. This absolutely ruled. Because it was Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman versus Chad Gable. And after the big men had slapped some man meat and got rid of Chad, they just ran into each other like tanks. And at one point, Bronson even did a dive. Of course he did. Who cares if you're big as a house? I'm just gonna go out there and do a flu out the ring. Chad also talked about all this before he did start wrestling. He was like, that's right, the rumors of my demise have been greatly over-exaggerated, and I'm back. Don't forget, this dude got shot right in the head. He is just an absolute special person. Eventually it all led to Braun Strowman taking some kind of power pack because he then got in the ring and he was hurling everybody around once again. When, of course, the Judgment Day came out because they hate Braun Strowman. He was like, oh, man, now I'm distracted and now I have to chase you away. But before this, he had decked Bronson Reed, so Chad Gable looked around, he saw his life flash before his eyes again, he climbed to the top rope and he hit the moonsault, and you ain't gonna believe it, he got the 1, 2, 3. Ooh-da-lally. He instantly started celebrating, which he should do, because what a turnaround he's had. I mean, last week he lost to Sami Zayn, he then lost his crew, he lost to Braun Strowman, and he died, and now he's going to the pay-per-view when the lights went out, and I was like, man, Chad, you gotta get out of there. It was, of course, because the Wyatt Sicks was about to make their presence known, and Gable actually did leg it, which did make sense. And here it was just Nikki Cross. I tell you, she has this character down, because there was like so much smoke, and the lights were going crazy. She's crawling around like she's the Thing from The Ring, and she went and gave a present to Michael Cole. I was like, well, that's very nice. Maybe it's some candy. We soon found out that it was a VHS tape. Some people on the internet didn't know what VHS was, so I just went and dug my grave. But Michael did hand it off to a production assistant and said, well, man, I guess go and see what's on it. We all want to know. I just thought all this was really good. The match was so much fun and Chad Gable is the man, and I am really invested in this Wyatt Sicks stuff. Again, I told you this last week, if we do more creepy and less spooky, so when we get to the matches, it can be a little bit easier. Well, so far, so good as far as I'm concerned. It's getting up. He also carried on the Gable story because he went and found the Alpha Academy after this, and he basically did the thing. It's like, oh man, I almost died last week, so I realized I've been treating you wrong. Now, Maxine Dupree, Otis, and Tozawa did basically forgive him when Otis was like, yeah, but you're still out of Alpha Academy, when he went back in the room, and Maxine closed the door, and she was all nicey nice here, because she's like, look, I understand where you're coming from. You were a bit of a goober, but give me some time, and I'll try and talk Otis around. So you know what's gonna happen? They are gonna get back together, and Chad is gonna be a dick again, because I have a slight dark side to my tum-tum. I think that's going to be pretty damn good. You can also see where it's going to, because as soon as she had closed the door, Ivy, Now, and the Creeds turned up, and they basically said, Chad, are you okay? He's like, no, I'm never okay. So he can, like, recruit these guys as his mega, super, evil warriors, and they can take on the Alpha Academy. Very excited about it. Well, for some reason, it was Alba Fire and Isla Dawn taking on Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. I mean, once again, this did come out of nowhere like an RKO, but at least the tag team titles were on TV. Sometimes WWE does totally forget about it. It was super short, all things considered, but that meant in the early going, we let Carter and Chance fly around as they like to do. And at one point, they hit a missile dropkick to the outside, and even though Carter was going to get double suplexed, she reversed that into her own move. I was like, good for you. They also did this really cool thing on the outside where they use each other as weapons, and I always enjoy that. And they were able to hit their finish, the party boy or the bang keg, whatever it's called. It's not called any of those things, but of course the champions broke it up at the 1-2-ooh. They must have taken some med packs because they busted out their powerbomb leg sweep finish, and they just won. All right, Damage Control flew in afterwards to beat them up, so of course that's going to be our next direction. Although don't forget, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark also need to get back involved. I mean, Shayna is no longer in the Money in the Bank, but Zoe has her qualifier next week, so we must be patient. like Yoda. I am just going to manifest good stuff here though, because while this was mostly okay, as long as we are featuring on television, it'll be way better than like a year ago, when again, I swear WWE just totally forgot. So I shall give it an up. The whole division still needs more. Damian Priest's day then got worse as well, because he was headed back to the Judgment Day locker room when Liv Morgan popped out and she was all like, "Oh, Damian, it's so good to see you." And of course, Priest walked in like a dad going, "Dom, I hope you saw that." But it wasn't Mysterio sat there, it was Finn Balor. Dun, dun, dun. Now, Balor kind of treated this like it was nothing, but he was also playing WWE 2K. So I like to think he was showing Liv Morgan his creator characters like, yeah, that's right. I made that version of Sting in a WWE game. I get a bit like Finn. Don't even bother, man. I've tried this, they don't care. He also wants them to focus on the tag team title shot that they do have this evening. And Dame was like, yeah, okay, well, that sounds like good to me. Make sure you bring those belts home. So it really does feel like Rhea and Damon are going to be ousted because of people like Liv Morgan and Finn Balor. Once again, I just like the time we're taking with the Judgment Day. It's segments I actually want to see unfold on my television screen. Miz then found Truth and broke down because it turns out that tag team match is going to be official. When Truth was all like, yeah, but you know, I love you, man, as a friend, and he walked off. I don't know, well, it did make me laugh, but it did. I think Priest was still mad about the interaction he had happened too, so he did come out to the ring. And he was all like, listen, I tell you who I don't like, Seth Rollins. I mean, you think he could have just called him in the week, but he did make it very clear that he respects Seth. But given that now he is the champion, Rollins is never gonna make it to the mountaintop again. It's like, Damo, that's a little bit unfair. You don't have to take away the man's hobbies. He did say his name a lot though, so as per Wrestling Rule 14.8, Seth Rollins did appear. And he got in the ring, he did his whole, "Where me, it's Seth Rollins," when he said that Damian Priest isn't the champion. I was like, dude, he's standing there, he's got the belt. Pretty sure he's a champion. What he did mean though is that even though he does have that title over his shoulder, he just gets help all of the time. I mean, the Judgment Day helped him out in a Clash of the Castle, CM Punk was helping him out. And whether you knew about it or not, still counts. Now, Priest was very clear here to say that, yeah, it is annoying when this happens because he doesn't want any of it, because he can't affect that. Instead, when he does get to Money in the Bank, he can just kill Seth and get the 1, 2, 3. When Seth was like, well, it's funny you say that. That is why I've come out here, because why don't we add some stakes into this thing? Which is 1, if you are able to defeat me, I will never challenge you for that world title again. Or 2, if I win, you have to leave the Judgment Day for good. I was like, man, things just hotted up. Now, why Priest would actually agree to this, I don't know, because he was the guy that challenged Seth to begin with. But he thought about it. He was like, well, you know what? The Judgment Day needs me more than I need it. So there's some more fuel for the fire. And I'm going to whip your ass anyway, so I accept. This is why I like Damian Priest. He is like a fighting champion. And also that he's just really cool. There was also levels to this as well, because of course Seth manipulated him into thinking, well, maybe I do need to stand on my own 2 feet and I need to prove this against you. And after they had metaphorically shaken hands, out came Gunther. Quite rightly, he was like, don't forget about me. As always though, he was pretty respectful. He put both these guys over when he said, listen, just get this title mess sorted, because whoever wins, you're gonna lose to me at SummerSlam, aka Hot WrestleMania. So he really is good, and I like this dynamic a lot. And actually, because we have 3 people involved here, you could do every single variation of this match, and I'd be down to watch it. Although we live in a 180 world, so even though I'd be down to watch it, it is most definitely getting it up. I'm not sure anything is better though than what came next. Good grief. Because it was the footage from that VHS tape, which was essentially Uncle Howdy talking to Bo Dallas, as Bo Dallas revealed his motivations and his reasons for the Wyatt Sicks. And man, the only reason you'll be able to watch this without water coming out your seeing devices is if you've absolutely got rid of emotion. Howdy even asked him how he's been doing since the death of his brother, when Bo basically broke down here. He's like, man, that's my whole reason for being right now. All I ever wanted in my life was to be like my brother Bray, and I was so excited that we were about to work together in WWE. And of course, it all tragically got taken away. This was genuinely hard to watch, which was the point. Bo also said a major reason he has to do this is because it keeps the memory and the legacy of Bray Wyatt alive. And if you have seen that documentary, there was similar elements to this. And if you haven't, my word, you need to change that today. But again, get ready to cry a lot. This was so well done, even from a production point of view, because I swear as the interview went on, they got closer and closer together, because of course they are the same character. But to take this idea and ground it in this sort of reality, well, it got me right in my tum-tum. Now, if you don't like this, that's totally fine, but I think WWE is totally doing the right thing here, because as we have talked about on Ups and Downs, the best way to remember anyone who has sadly passed away is to keep their memory alive. And now we have tied that in to Bo Dallas's motivations. Well, they better be baby faces, because I want him to be the world champion yesterday. I am not kidding. So yes, if you do have a couple of minutes today, I would say that you should go and watch this. I'm sure it's on WWE YouTube. It is powerful and emotional stuff, and I really hope it becomes something that we can remember forever. I'm most definitely giving it an up. When we got to one of those stories that is actually quite under the radar, but so important, especially on Monday Night Raw, because it's a 3-hour show, it makes it feel a lot shorter. But it was Karrion Kross versus Kofi Kingston after Kofi had basically stolen the match from Xavier Woods last week. But I tell you, he was fighting here like Woods' life was on the line. And given WWE over the last couple of months, that may well have been true, because he really looked at Karrion Kross and he whooped his ass. I mean, he did a dive at one point, and then Karrion grabbed him and did a backbreaker, so he broke his back, which I thought was horrible. And all of a sudden, he was coming back with clotheslines, and Kofi even hit the boom drop. So if you want to say that Karrion was kind of on the losing side here, I would believe you, but it does tie into the bigger picture, when, of course, that damn Paul Ellering appeared on the big screen, and what was happening on the backstage, well, AOP were beating up Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston was like, oh my gosh, I have to save my friend, which was a terrible idea. He forgot he was in a match, he turned around, Kross hit him with the final prayer, and he got the 1, 2, 3. It's an interesting name for a move. The final prayer. It does sound like you're killing him. So this was quite short, but eventually we are going to get Karrion Kross versus Xavier Woods. And what if, Woods is able to win that without Kofi's help? What does that do to their dynamic? This really is an interesting tale, and every single person in it is doing really well in their roles. I'm excited to see where it goes. When we did get to our main event, it was just sad times 9,000. For it was Truth and The Miz defending their tag team titles against JD McDonough and Finn Balor. And I tell you, this went absolutely crazy. Because Liv Morgan was out here when all of a sudden the Judgment Day decided to get involved, but The Miz got the hot tag and he ran wild, including hitting JD McDonough with the skull-crushing finale. But because Carlito was on the outside, we got a 1, we got a 2. Before the 3, he put the foot on the rope, and Braun Strowman must be watching this from the back on a monitor, because he came out and they just chased the Judgment Day away. Breathe. It still meant that we took all the stories from the evening and threw them in one big pudding, although I do want to rewind to that Miz hot tag, because I tell you, we do not give him his flowers, because McDonough also got a tag at the same time, and he tripped on the rope. Don't worry about it. It happens, but the Miz didn't miss a beat, and he went right into his kicks, to the point, if you told me this was meant to happen, I'd totally believe you. So a round of applause to those guys. On the apron too, eventually R-Truth warmed up his hand, so he got the hot tag, and he was able to hit the 5 knuckles shuffle, and it looked like he too was going to get the 1, 2, 3, when it all went really bad. Because just as it looked like he was going to finish this thing off, Liv Morgan had returned to the ring and she jumped up on the apron. She told R-Truth that she wanted a hug. How many times have we talked about this on Ups and Downs? You don't have a cuddle with someone across the ring ropes, you're just asking for trouble. And as soon as Liv's facial expression had changed, she guillotined him on the top rope. He was dead. Balor must have smelled this a mile away, maybe because he too was in cahoots with Liv Morgan, and he hit the dropkick and the coup de grace, and he got it on the first attempt, which is when you know it's going to work, and it did. 1, 2, 3, JD McDonough and his big head and Finn Balor are now the tag team champions. Damn. So that really did come out of nowhere, but I like the surprise, and it ties directly into the story. Because if I'm Damian Priest, I'm like, wait a minute, why did Liv Morgan help us? We've been trying to get rid of her. I'm very intrigued to see what we do with R-Truth and The Miz, because as I've just said, they should be given something. I think they're way better than people give them credit for. But in terms of a main event on Raw, well, that rhymed. It's getting it up. And it's the same for Raw overall, because they have so much momentum moving into Money in the Bank, mostly because they're also looking past that to SummerSlam. So there's just a bunch of stories I can stick up my ass and enjoy them in my brain. That is not a way to end the show, but we have goodbye. Before that though, please do make sure you like the video, share the video and subscribe. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's Monday Night Raw. Also click the video on the screen, which is Ups and Downs for SmackDown, which actually could be the best television wrestling show of the year in terms of that episode. Why can't I talk today? You know what? It's over. See ya.